This is our Lotus Blossom Tray resin tutorial and our brand new stone edge tray mold. It's kind of like our round mold, but it's a rectangular tray with lots of stone edges. Let's get started with this. I mixed up JDiction Fast Cure resin because I wanted to work fast on this, and I started off with 11.51 ounces. I have 3 scoops of Art Pro Deep Purple Mica and half a scoop of Twinkling Silver Star Mica. And I have to disclose, this was the first time I poured this mold. I goofed it up, so I poured it a second time, and I was short on this resin in the beginning. 11.51 ounces didn't fill it up. So it takes approximately, in total, 20.2 ounces to fill the back and sides. There I'm just kind of tapping it to make sure it gets down and doesn't have any air bubbles. But this was the, quote, first pour I did where I mixed up 2 different sections of 11.51 ounces and had some left over. So I decided to keep it so I didn't film it all over again. As you see, I could not get this to stretch to cover the bottom. So definitely need 20 ounces to fill the back. And this is a 4-step process mold. Right now I'm pouring the base of it. When that cures, you demold it. Then you pour an interior base if you need it. Put your inlays in if you're doing flowers, or you'll see what I'm putting in the center of this in a minute. You let that cure and then you do a top coat. But I was tired of doing trays that were only 2-dimensional, and I wanted something with some substance. And we have several with the colossal crystal edges or just the crystal edge vanity tray. And I wanted something that didn't have crystal edges, and we had done the stone edge round mold, so we just carried that design over into a tray. And there I'm just using a toothpick trying to move the resin into all the little fissures. And now it's time to demold the first part. And this is so heavy I had to turn it upside down to demold it. Oh, hit my camera while I was at it. But it looks very cool just for this part of it. But like I said, this is a top up pour. If I was happy with that color, I could just start on the next section, but because I wanted a black background or a black base, I mixed up in the first pour I mixed up 5 ounces of resin. In the second pour, this is now my second pour, I mixed up 6 ounces of just the JDiction high gloss resin, because I have little insets that I'm putting in. Kevin made these out of PLA for me. We're going to be selling them in silver and in bronze. And it's just a little template that I'm going to fill in with mica colors. You could fill it with glitter, you could fill it with resin ink and resin, but I chose mica. So I mixed up the black base for this part. This would also work with dried flowers, which I'll be doing in my next pour in this mold. But the 5 ounces was almost not enough, but when I mixed 6 ounces, it was a little too much. These insets are only about 0.20 inches thick, and it left me with no room really to put mica in, and Kevin thought it was going to be a second epic fail, but I actually saved it. So I would say if you were going to do the insets or any kind of inset like this, put the least amount of resin that you can. Like I wanted the black background, not the purple, or I could have poured black to begin with and just glued it down. But in my first go around with this, I glued the pieces in there, those little pieces that I'm dropping in, the edges of the lotus flower, and they weren't glued completely. So when I started putting mica in, it seeped out, and I was so sad because it meant I just wasted 20 ounces of resin. So I'm just putting the resin is wet. When I did a prototype of this, I waited till the resin was slightly dry, but if you make a mistake and it's still gooey, if you try and move something, then you've got like the gooiness going. So putting it in the wet resin is probably the best option, but you just have to be careful. Look, I haven't put a ruler up there, so I'm pretending that I'm getting it exactly in the center. And I just dropped it in. Then you have to wait for that resin to set up, and it's done there. But like I said, I had very little room in there, so I couldn't just pour mica in. I put in, that's some Lollipop mica from Funshine Color Shop. I'm using that. What else am I using in this? Bubblegum Pink from Solar Color Dust. army green from Solar Color Dust, and then a Barney purple mica as well. But because the design separated the colors, but I didn't want it to run over, so I was just very careful. I used a pipette just to put a little bit more in, and then I was just teasing the color into the edges with a paintbrush and or a toothpick, as you'll see me doing here. And I don't work this fast. This is sped up because this video would have been half an hour long if I did this real time. So I'm just kind of stretching it into the corners, and these were the tightest colors. The green had enough room. The pink was really hard. The purple was okay. And I could have put green in those outside little edges, little leafy areas, but I was saying I got it and it didn't go bad, so I was just leaving those alone for this pour. They look fine just being silver. We also make this in a bronze color. This is the silver PLA. That is 3D printed, and it's a shimmery silver, and we also have a bronze that we make our stands out of. So that looks pretty as well. But like I said, I could have done this whole mold in black and then probably just glued this down, not into wet resin. There's so many different ways you can use this, and we want to come up with different designs, like maybe a holiday design or Christmas baubles or lights or pumpkins or Easter eggs. Who knows what we'll come up with next, but like I said, those edges look really cool. It gives the tray a 3D weight, and it's weighty too. The finished piece weighs 2 pounds, 2 ounces, and it measures 12.25 inches long by 7.375 inches wide by 0.85 inches high. And there I'm just putting the purple in and teasing it into the colors because I like teasing my resin. Originally, I had done this with 3 different colors of pink and 2 different colors of purple and 2 different greens, but it was funny, different brands, different micas, they all kind of looked the same, so I just chose the 4 different colors here and didn't go so crazy. But you could use glitter, or like I said, resin inks. Alcohol inks would probably be too pale to use in something like this. So once that's set up and dried, after I'm done playing with it still, so I had that, yeah, that was 6 ounces of the JDiction high gloss resin with 6 drops of the pigment paste for the black. And then once that's dried, it's time for the top coat. Oh, and for the colors, I mixed up about 2 ounces of resin for that, and I really didn't even need all of that. It was maybe 0.25 of an ounce to fill those. And then I mixed up for the top coat 8 ounces of JDiction high gloss resin. And we're now affiliates of JDiction, so we'll have a coupon code below where you can get 15% off or 10% off, I forget which it is, at their website for their products. But I use their high gloss resin for pretty much every kind of basic pour that I do. And the fast cures funks, it cures fast. But what I like about the top pours is you see what you're doing, and it's not a big surprise when you demold to find bubbles on the other side. You can hit your bubbles with a heat gun, and there I'm just covering it from dust. And there's the finished piece. It's got substantial sides. It's not just a 0.37 inch flat tray that you've done some kind of design on. It actually does make a beautiful tray that doesn't need handles on it. I can't wait to show you guys more pours in this beautiful new stone edge tray mold.